So the CEO of Westwick, Christine, and I moved here from the US, not because we're running from the law like you may have heard, but because we wanted to come here and actually help. The way we wanted to come and help is by using our background in the healthcare field, by helping people, by educating them to become certified nursing assistants and caregivers, and then connecting them with our partners and helping them go abroad, right? So we're here today because we need the help and seeking help from the government, right? We're doing exactly the same thing that the government is doing, which is exporting labor. But we feel like we've been targeted by people like Edgar Obare. When he targeted us and posted false information about our school, Westwood College, about Christine and myself, it caused a negative effect, right? Ripple effect. With Westwood College, we lost some of our partners that we work with. Christine was targeted personally, and I was targeted personally. As you can hear from my accent, I also work in the US, and I lost some partners in the US as well because of this. Edgar has an amazing platform. He could use it to uplift people, uplift students. And I understand share and gossip is a huge thing in Nairobi, which is great as well, right? But he can still use that platform to uplift people, right? The reason why we're also here is because Edgar, we've gone through the extent that we can with using the government and the law. And we have a warrant for arrest for Edgar Obare. What we're willing to do is give 100,000 shillings to anyone that brings justice to Edgar Obare. And every 2 weeks, we'll increase that to 100,000 shillings to anybody that brings Edgar Obare to justice. The reason why we're doing this is because we want to say that it's not okay to target people like us, right? A company that's trying to purposely help people. It's not okay to just post negative information because there are repercussions to that. It's not okay, right? And we wouldn't, and maybe what needs to happen, there needs to be a regulation on social media, not just on bloggers, but also on influencers. You can't just target people and get away with it. So that's why we're here today, and thank you for having us.
Which I think are well known to us were presented and aired in the media. We wrote a demand letter to the said Edgar Obare requesting him to pull down, extract, and delete those defamatory words to my clients. Instead, he opted to go ahead and broadcast further and not comply with that demand. My clients, being aggrieved, did the right thing before the eyes of God and man and filed a civil case in Milimani, and the court found that they had a case which had overwhelming chances of success, and the first order was an order of injunction. That order of injunction restrained the said Edgar Obare from 4 things. 1, he was stopped from further broadcasting or from further airing of information pertaining to my good client who is on my left here, Yvonne Mogore, and the director of Westwick Institute, Christina Lewis, who I think is around, and the very able students who are behind me for Westwick Institute Limited. The law is very clear that if somebody is aggrieved or unhappy with a court order, you have 2 options. 1, you can file for a review before the same court and ask it to set it aside, or you can move to the High Court or a higher court to appeal. Regrettably, the said Edgar Obare did not do the 2 options that were provided for in law, but he refused to pull down, he refused to extract those defamatory words, and he refused to give an apology as the court order had dictated. Felt aggrieved by that action because court orders are not issued in vain. And I want to say this to the members of the press, and I'm happy that you are here, that as a civilized society, when people do not respect court orders, you are likely to go back to the rule of the jungle, the law of anarchy, because if somebody can get a court order and they're not able to enjoy the fruits of that order, then people will be forced to use extrajudicial ways to satisfy their rights. And that's not an area we would wish to be or find ourselves into. When Edgar Obare refused to comply, and we served his lawyers to that effect, they came to court and said whatever they said, and they had the right of reply, so he was aware of those particular court orders. So we filed for contempt, and the court allowed our prayers for contempt because the court felt that having a court order and somebody not complying with it, then it shows the highest level of disrespect the highest level of contempt, and the highest level of disregard of the rule of law. So when we went to court yesterday, the matter was coming for purposes of warrants of arrest to issue because he has already been found in contempt. What that simply means is that having been found in contempt, he has two options. One, he should present himself in court, and the court will pronounce itself on the question of fine, or issue a jail term as the court may please, a jail term not exceeding 6 months. Because now this case has moved from civil to criminal. And as I speak to you, I'm under instructions to tell you as members of the press that the said Edgar Obare is now a fugitive, whom my clients have offered 100,000 for anybody who may tell us the whereabouts of the said particular person, because he should present himself in court as per order 1 of this particular court order, and I will read it verbatim. That the Honorable Court hereby issues summons or warrant of arrest orders to the issue for Director of Criminal Investigation to present the defendant hereby being Edgar Obare, to court for appropriate reliefs and sanctions. The order was issued on 7th of March 2024, and the case is slated for 3rd of April 2024. This particular order, I think my office has made an effort to serve the DCI today, but we don't have to delabor and look for him, because we can also have that right to enjoy and to exercise what these orders say. It's only fair that the Edgar Obare should present himself to the DCI, or if the DCI is not presented, if he doesn't present himself to them, then they should do what they're supposed to do. And the reason why my clients moved to court is that they had no other platform to ventilate and tell their side of story. My clients were condemned and heard. And I think as members of the press, you know, a right of reply. Even if somebody has an issue with my good client here, Yvonne Mogore or Tina Levis or Westwick Institute Limited, the decent and the honorable thing to do is to give those allegations to that person, and the person responds. But it's very unfortunate when you broadcast malicious, scandalous, and defamatory articles without according my client right of reply. She just saw those articles on the media, just like all of us. Having said that, there are also some matters that came because the students were very worried about their tertiary education, and these are young people who are trying to eke out a living amid this very severe and hard economic situation, who have endeavored to seek a better life. But when you admonish a school, when you admonish personalities, when you go ahead and admonish very hardworking ladies, it shows the disregard of the law. As I close, my client here, and I think that's something we have filed in court, which is available for public scrutiny, has lost 1.8 million contract from a US company whereby she was an influencer. And I think all of you, because I believe you are in that space, you can understand some of us or some of you earn a living by the reputation you have. So she had a card, like a pay card for swiping, whereby she was the brand ambassador for that company. And when they saw that particular article broadcasted by Edgar Obare, they wrote a termination letter. So she's now shortfall of 1.8 million, which
a month.
1.8 million a month, which she used to earn because of her brand, which she has built all of us. And I can see you've taken a while to build your brand. So when somebody just goes ahead and broadcast very defamatory articles, they don't know that it goes to the heart of your career, it goes to the heart of your family, and it even has economic and financial implications. Those are some of the damages you shall be seeking pursuant to order number 2, which says that the parties shall file on terms of settlement, because we shall be seeking damages to the tune of around 33 million for damages that my client has suffered on these particular damages, and shall quantify it appropriately when the time comes. At this stage, I wish to welcome any questions or clarifications from all of you. Asante sana.
For clarification purposes, you told us 20 and you said 33.
20 million is the damages that actually suffered in terms of general damages. Special damages is things that she could have earned in terms of income, which pulls it to 33.
So it's 20 plus.
plus 13. One is for loss of income, one is for loss of reputation. That's for the three defendants, the three plaintiffs. The court will give us directions, but we are representing the three. But I was just trying to give the story for Yvonne because that's something that can actually be quantified or has evidence, because the letter says, or the cancellation letter of the contract is mentioning that the contract is being cancelled because of the article from Edgar Obare. So it is very specific on the reason she's no longer the brand ambassador for the company.
It's not the first case we're seeing against Edgar Obare, and he always ends up, not getting caught. What are you guys doing purposely to make sure that he's going to get caught?
That's a good question, and I must say that when I took up this matter, my clients also had concerns that maybe there have been other cases which, or even higher profile cases which has been handled, and they did not go to, or did not get much headway. What I can tell you is that this is going to be a different ball game altogether. This is not something that Edgar Obare has seen before, because my clients are willing to go to great lengths to defend their rights and their reputation. I must also say that the wheels of justice may move slow, but they always move towards justice. So irrespective of the time it will take, my clients are very keen, and they're very, very, they have a razor eye focus to ensure that at least they'll have their day in court. The decent thing, even if we thought that Edgar could have done, was to issue us as an apology or even pull down the articles, but he has refused to do that. So that now the only remedy we have is to seek refuge in our courts.
One of the most popular questions that we've gotten is, why haven't students traveled? Why are we not seeing testimonials online about our students, right? So when we started our school, we tried to conduct it like we would in the US, right? By giving certain rights to students, right? We give them and ask them to sign a contract. You have the right whether to appear on social media or online or not to appear, right? Is that correct? Yes. So we gave that right to students. A lot of the students, which we understand are very private people, maybe their families don't even know they're coming to that school, which is the truth for some of them, or maybe whatever it may be, a lot of them chose not to appear online, which we respected, right? And that's what happened, and that's what's happening. It's not to say that we haven't had students travel. It's not to say that we've had students go to Canada, to UK, and to various places. We just respected their wishes of not documenting it and not going online. Because of this, Edgar, because of what has happened, we've also had to change some of our policies. At the moment now, we do ask that our students do have to be recorded and to go online, because we don't want anything like this to happen again, right? So just to answer some of those questions that we've seen online regarding just testimonials and such.
I think there was also a point of the fact that maybe you guys do not have the correct documentation to be doing this. Maybe can you address that?
Okay. In terms of the documentation, I think that's been a huge question in general, right? Also, something I want to state, we're not hiding ourselves, right? We're right next to the US Embassy. We're right next to the UN. I'm still here. I go to school. I still show up, correct? Yes. Right? I come to school. I show myself. We're not hiding ourselves. The CEO isn't hiding ourselves, right? So we're open to anybody, and we're open to anybody coming to our school. And I lost my point there. Could you ask that question again?
Maybe to be more specific to that question about documentation, I would invite any of you to go to the reception of the school. The certifications are pinned on the wall. You could take a picture on it, and you could verify the authenticity or otherwise from the issuing authority. So to answer your question, the answer is a resounding yes. The school is certified, it is licensed to operate as it is, and those documents, just like the way you can pin a license on a shop, they are available for public scrutiny. And anybody who is here, even after this press, you can pass by the school and you'll see those documents for your own consumption.
And we're still operating currently. These are current students. So if we didn't have the rights, we didn't have the acknowledgements, we wouldn't still be operating, right?
Thank you, asante sana.
Thank
Mungu
you.
abariki.
Thank you.
Okay.
You guys.